Hello and very warm welcome to our course. I think our course is unique. We have students from 6 countries: the United Kingdom, Sweden, the Netherlands, Italy, the Czech Republic, and Romania. You see, autism is autism in any country. Wherever you go, you can recognize autistic children. But its diagnosis, treatment, and outcome is very different in different countries. We have no research and statistics for autism yet, but there is research on schizophrenia outcome, and it is very, very interesting. For example, the outcome, 50% of people with schizophrenia are cured, not in the Western countries, but in non-industrial countries such as India and Africa. And in comparison, only 25% in England and only 6% in Denmark. So you see, these social, political, and cultural factors are very, very important. How we treat the condition, how we recognize it, how we diagnose it. So my main point is, let us learn from each other. Yes, there are poor and rich countries, but cultures are very different, and some cultures are more autism friendly. And it means while learning about autism, reading the material, doing activities, we will learn from each other as well. We will share our ideas, we will share our experiences. I'm sure we will learn a lot more new information than from the reading materials. And where can we do it? Of course, in discussions. Go to the forum and start talking to each other. First things first, introductions. Just to know who is who, right? And to put faces, names to faces. Please go to the introduction forum and introduce yourself. Tell the others who you are, what you are doing, why you are doing this course, and what you find interesting and fascinating about autism. Because out of 19 students, 16 were quite active, and only 3 introductions were posted. Please introduce yourself. And then there are discussions and discussions. You can see the first 5 discussions, discussion 1, 2, and so on, are your activities, right? They are obligatory. There you are asked to answer certain questions and discuss certain issues. That is why a minimum 2 messages will be necessary. The first one, it is your view or your idea on the issue. And the second is to comment or to respond to other students' messages. Of course, it is at least 2 messages, but you can respond to as many messages as you like. The more, the better. And there are discussions just for you, discussions where you can ask questions, not only questions about autism or the course, any questions. Where you can post your suggestions or comments or ask for a new topic to discuss. So this is our, shall we say, cafe where we can discuss things, right? Out of the classroom. Classroom for work and cafe just to talk, to chat with each other. Now about the course, the structure of this course. It consists of 2 modules, and we have 3 months' time to study these 2 modules. It means 1 hour and 8 hours for these 2 modules, or 1 hour per day to study. It doesn't mean you have to study every day for 1 hour. One day you can study just 15 minutes, the next day 3 hours, and then have 3 days free, and so on. My main point is, if you are tired, if you don't want to do it, don't open the site. Go for a walk with your kids, go to the restaurant with your partner, watch TV, or go to bed. Because this course, I do hope it will be enjoyable. Do it when you have time, do it in your pace, and do it when you want to do it, not because you have to do it. Always think about yourself, okay? Now, 2 modules. The first one, it is Introduction to Autism Spectrum, and it consists of 3 units. The first unit is Historical Approach to Autism. You may ask, why history? It's irrelevant for my work, for example, or for my child. Why do I need to know about it? I can tell you the history is very important because since 1943, when Leo Kanner published his famous article describing 11 autistic children, we've made so many mistakes in diagnosis and in treatment of these children. Not to repeat these mistakes, we have to know what's happened. And another thing is, there are some mistakes the way the history of autism was reported as well. For example, for many, many decades, Kanner was considered to be the first who described autism, who coined the term, not coined the term, but who introduced autism as a separate condition. But recently, about 5 years ago, it became clear that, in fact, it wasn't Kanner, it was Hans Asperger. Yes, his paper was published in 1944, a year after Kanner's article, but now we know that his first articles were published in 1938. The matter is, he was German, he wrote in German, and it was during the World War. Of course, his articles were unknown. And a few years ago, again, it became clear that it wasn't even Hans Asperger who was the first to describe autism. It was the Russian psychiatrist Sukhareva, who described 6 case histories of autistic children in her article published in 1925. So much, much earlier than Asperger's and Kanner's work. So how to study this material? First, look through it. Don't read everything. Just open the first section and look through it to get a general idea what this section is about. Look at the activities and discussion topics, and then you will see what is expected of you. And after that, start studying it. Now you know what is important, what is not very important. Okay? So you reach the section where the activity should be done. So do this activity in your workbook. And after that, follow again the line, go to the next section, and then it is discussion. Go to the discussion forum and post your message, and so on and so forth. Please remember, you don't have to print out all this reading material, because at the end of each module, you will get an electronic book, an electronic version of this course. As soon as you hand in your workbook, you will be sent an electronic book. So don't print out any material. The second unit is different. It is much shorter. It is about diagnosis and misdiagnosis of autism, diagnostic tools and instruments, and the impact of diagnosis on the families with autistic children. Here, be selective. There are boxes containing information which is not obligatory for study. There are 2 boxes. For example, the first one is instruments, diagnostic instruments and tools available in the West, or misdiagnosis and other diagnoses, how we can differentiate autism from other conditions. These boxes are not obligatory. You can skip them. You can just look through them, whatever. If you are curious, you can be more sort of attentive to this information. It is up to you. But the part about Asperger syndrome is very important, and the part about families, the impact the diagnosis on these families. There are 3 activities. One is an online test. You have to tick the box. One is optional. It is up to you. If you want to do it, you will do it. If you don't do it. It is about these diagnostic instruments and assessment tools. And the third one, it is obligatory. And there are 2 discussions, I think 2 discussions in this unit. Then it is unit 3. It is about theories and about different treatments and approaches to autism. Theories are very important. Don't think, why will I need theory if I will never use it in my practice, in my work? Because, see, you don't want to be told, do this, don't do that. You want to know, why shall I do this? Why shall I do that? And theoretical explanation provides us with these answers. Why autistic children do what they do, how they experience the world, and what shall we do with this? How shall we approach them and help them? So theoretical explanation helps us to improve our practical work. And there are different approaches. We will discuss different approaches in this unit. We will have a webinar discussing them. Please remember, there are no 2 autistic individuals with exactly the same sensory, cognitive, linguistic profile, and that is why what works for one child will never work for the other, or sometimes even will harm the other. And shall we use one approach for everyone in the classroom? Of course not. There are some controversial treatments, and some people say, oh, there is no science behind it. For example, gluten-free diets, right? There is no scientific research which says, yes, it is good for autistic children. But it is impossible to have scientific research which says this particular approach is good for all autistic children. I'll give you one example. You have 20 children with autism, and gluten-free diet, for example, helps 4 children with autism. Shall we use it? Of course we shall, with these 4 children. If it doesn't work for 16, yes, okay, we will do something else. But if it helps tremendously to these 4 children, we cannot deny them this opportunity. The same goes for any other approaches. On the other hand, there are approaches which are useful in a way. I mean, there are some results, but they are very cruel. For example, this holding therapy, right? Because some people say, but I've got the results, my child becomes calmer and better after that. But some autistic people describe it as sensory rape, because they cannot tolerate any touch. And when their mother is told to hold them and insist on eye contact, and you know, many autistic people cannot tolerate eye contact while saying, I love you, there is nothing about love there. So see, that's what we will talk about in our Unit 3. And after that, you will submit your workbook, and you will get your electronic version of this first module. And it will be our second module, my favorite, because it is sensory perception and autism. And then we will discuss everything, how these children and adults perceive the world, and what to do to help them, and what not to do in order not to harm them. And this is briefly it. This is the summary of our first webinar. Unfortunately, there were some technical problems, and that is why I just summarized the main points we were talking about. Our next webinars will be all recorded and then put on our site. Thank you and good luck.